Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Keep Your Stride Mental Wellness mini-series. My name is Michele Beatty and I'm the creator of Keep Your Stride. And this whole initiative started from my journey of being a professional development strategist over the past 10 years. Started with working in career services and just went on through my podcast Career Tipper and just coaching and helping different programs and companies launch their career professional development initiatives. And one thing that continue to come to me through the years is the importance of mental health and protecting our mental health, nourishing our mental health, honoring our mental health. And as I became a student of my own work of evolving to professional best, I found myself going to therapy just to help me um, nurture my mental health in a new way. And as the more I shared my journey in therapy, I just spoke with other professionals and they were share with me how often it helped them improve in their performance, the harmony, balancing work-life harmony, and so forth, so on. And to kick off 2024, I am partnering with different therapists to share ways of healing gives clarity, not only from our personal perspective, but also from a professional perspective. And so the series is getting kicked off this evening with Catlin Magidson, and she is a licensed clinical professional counselor. She's also a nationally certified counselor and a certified coach in private practice, serving clients in the Washington, D.C. metro region and remotely across the United States. Caitlin integrates her specialties of mental health counseling and coaching as she guides clients through personal and professional life transitions. Aiming to enhance their overall well being, she previously worked as the Assistant Director of Coaching and Education at the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School and has coached executive leaders through Hopkins Academy for Women in Leadership and the Academy for Healthcare Leadership and Management. Caitlin, welcome and thank you so much for coming back because you've also been a guest on my podcast, Career Tipper. So I'm excited for you to be a part of this series as well.
Thanks so much, Michele. It's always good to see you. And yeah, looking forward to our conversation today.
Yes. So, Caitlin, can you just give us a little background to where you stand now with supporting professionals with their mental health wellness?
Yeah, sure, of course. Well, I mean, we all have a brain. And so I think whenever I'm working with someone, even if it's in the more around career principles, it's all about our thoughts, our feelings, how it's connected to our behaviors. So I am a licensed therapist. So I work one-on-one with individuals in therapy who may be experiencing more anxiety, maybe a sense of burnout, maybe some more depressive symptoms, to really process thoughts and feelings that maybe haven't been processed. And, energy gets stuck in the body. And if we don't process our feelings, sometimes the body tells us that and it starts to shut down, or it's like, I've got a stomach ache, or, I'm having panic attacks, and it's trying to get your attention. So when I'm working with someone, it may be directly in therapy, but then through career coaching, helping people also understand what thoughts they're having that are contributing to distress, right? If I'm telling myself I'm not good at my job or nothing I do matters, that is going to have also a physiological response. My body's going to have more cortisol. I'm going to feel more stressed. I may have trouble sleeping at night. So sometimes the thoughts that people are having, cause physical symptoms as well. So I try to work with individuals in therapy and in coaching from a holistic perspective to understand what's happening inside of them so that they can better understand what is a reflection and maybe happening externally in their world.
That is great and worthy work. So, Caitlin, can you share with us a few strategies that you recommend to managing stress and anxiety in high pressure work environments? Because I feel like 2024 is off to, I'm here and you're going to feel it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple of things. There are things that are inside of our control and outside of our control. So, we can increase stress and a sense of suffering by the things that we tell ourselves. My boss doesn't think I'm a valuable team member, or, this colleague is being passive aggressive and doesn't like me. Now, we don't know if that's true, but just the story alone causes distress. So there are things that you can be in control over your thoughts, recognizing I don't know that for sure. That's not real-time data. That's my assumption or a projection of what I'm experiencing inside myself. So that can be a cause of stress. But then externally, there's been a lot of changes. There's more of a push to return to work in person. And, there have been a lot of layoffs over the last several months, a lot of changes in that way. So I think, it's most important to recognize the things that are in your control, the stories that you tell yourself, and managing and recognizing that those are just thoughts so that you can create more internal peace. The things that you can't control, they deserve freedom from your mind. You can't control if, the market is going to suddenly turn. So, worrying about it doesn't help anymore. But, so things like even just titrating what you're reading every day, what you're watching every day, anything you take into your system, what you're reading, watching, eating, hearing is going to impact your mental health. And that's either going to be more stressful or not. But it's also important to recognize or setting an intentional plan as to what you're doing for yourself as far as self-care when you're at work, right? Do you have specific boundaries around what time you finish work? And do you hold those boundaries and respect them for yourself? And then also, if they're crossed by someone, letting them know that, oh, I'm not able to work past 5:00, right? But also taking care of yourself in all of the areas of life, right? Making sure that you're connected to good relationships, that you're eating, well, getting good nutrition, getting good sleep, having fun and recreation in your life. I've worked with so many clients that recognize that things are out of balance and work feels even more stressful because they're not filling their cup in other ways with play or with hobbies, with a sense of community, or maybe their spiritual life, or making sure that their finances are in order. So we really have to pay attention to all areas of your life pie so that you can reduce, work being 90% of it, because that's a lot of emphasis to place on work. And it may also be stressful thinking work has to do everything for me. It has to fulfill all of my needs. And sometimes it's just a rebalance that helps put things in perspective.
Perspective is everything. I know for me, therapy led me back to a childhood. Something I enjoyed as a child was coloring. So I ended up publishing a coloring book from it. And that came from my juicing, my mental health, like started going to therapy journey. And then also juicing, like my juicing came through my therapy and just like increasing my self-care. So that's where the videos and part of the initiative with Keep Your Stride, I share juicing tips is because of that, just wanting to nourish myself intentional, because I found juicing to be a labor of love.
I
So
love
it's like, okay, what are labors of love for yourself that you can do? Because to your point, just which were great shares and like reminders is we give so much to our jobs. It's like we have to make sure we do that for us. And what does that look like?
Yeah. I love that you call it labors of love, because sometimes the things that we do to take care of ourselves take some energy, whether it's getting outside for a walk. It may be more comfortable to sit on the couch, but telling yourself this is an act of love for myself, right? This is me honoring myself, even if it's uncomfortable for the moment, right? I know this is going to take care of me short term and long term.
I remember a quote I heard recently, and I'm not going to get it right, but the like growth is great, growth is wonderful, healing is great. But one thing that sometimes people don't remember is that there's pain associated with it, and you got to work through the pain of it because it's worth it. And I was like, true.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's whenever we're playing with our edges, getting outside our comfort zone, there is growth, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. And so, cultivating resilience is giving yourself permission to be uncomfortable and to tolerate it, right? It's not bad. We don't want to try to avoid everything that's uncomfortable. That's how we grow. So recognizing that, oh, this is actually good stress, just like you might be lifting at the gym weights. It's like, this is good stress on my body to help me build.
The ebbs and flow of evolving to your professional best.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah. So, can we discuss the role of work life balance, or should I say work life harmony, in maintaining your mental health, like how to achieve it? And I know that you also have a program that promotes this as well. So, can you just
Mhm.
combine the two?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because we use this phrase work-life balance as if work is not part of our life, right? Like it would be different if we just talked about life balance or life alignment, right? That we're living a life that's in alignment with our values, what we feel like is important or meaningful, and that work doesn't have to be outside of that. And I truly believe, as I coach individuals through career transitions, that they can find a job that aligns with their values and interests and skills. And so I think that's part of life. You're living a big part of your life each day when you work. If assuming that you're working, maybe 40 hours a week, right? That's a huge part of your life. So it's interesting how we kind of separate the two. So I think it's all about, it's about, just alignment in life. So just kind of checking in and asking yourself first, ranking your top values. Are your values around commitment, growth, sense of play, joy, accomplishment? I'm happy to share a list of values with anyone if they're wanting to do a little bit of reflection, but really articulating like your top 3 to 5 values can also then be guideposts to help you assess if the work you're doing aligns with those values and if the way you're living your outside life is also aligned as well. So when one area of our life is not aligned, something can feel off and it doesn't feel as whole as it could. So maybe a different way to look at it. I don't know if that answers your question, but important to recognize that you can create a work experience that doesn't have to be so contrary to the life that you want to live.
No, I think you answered the question extremely well. I often think when people or professionals, different professionals share, it's going to take a long time. I'm like, the time is going to pass regardless. So use it wisely.
Yeah.
Use it to serve yourself. You deserve, you're worthy of the quality of life that you feel you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a mental process as much of it as it is like a logistical process. We have to believe that. Like, I love that you own that. And then, sometimes I work with individuals that feel like I don't know if I deserve that, or my family thinks I should do XYZ. And we all have different values and, culturally different perspectives about the meaning of work and purpose of life and what we should focus on. So you take some reflection to recognize and to kind of shore up some of those core beliefs so that you can move in a direction that feels really healthy for you.
Caitlin, are there levels to the reflection?
Are there levels to the reflection? Meaning,
Processing them.
uh-huh. Yeah. So levels in the sense of like values and like interests, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think of like life and career as a big puzzle. There's all these pieces and they all fit somewhere, right? So just as you're assessing if, a job is right for you, you may be asking yourself, do I want to work remotely or do I want to be in office? Is it important for me to see colleagues regularly? Or is it important for me to, be remote and not as connected? So that is one little puzzle piece of the career, experience. Another could be what you're getting paid, your salary. So all these puzzle pieces can help you feel like you're living a life that feels more in alignment to you. So I think the reflection, as you're asking, is, on many different levels, around career, around relationships, around play, all these kind of wedges of your life pie. You have to really reflect on, if I could be living the best life right now, what would the picture look like? What would the puzzle look like? And then really identifying it's all these pieces, right? I'd be living at the beach. I would be married with 2 kids. I would be, working early in the morning and then having a big break during the day. So it's like your lifestyle, it's every part of it that helps you see the bigger picture. So a lot of questions, and I run a group course, a career design course, and I've run a course for women on designing your life, but it's really taking time and giving yourself the space to reflect and ask those deeper questions to wake yourself up to what you want, and then chart a course to go get it.
Exactly. I really love your analogy of the puzzle.
Mm.
Life is full of surprises of trying to put it together. I really like that. So how can like what are some insights that you have in regards to setting healthy boundaries? I know you mentioned that earlier, and I just want to go back to that a little bit about help establishing healthy boundaries for work and the personal life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this comes up a lot in my one-on-one coaching sessions and even therapy sessions. It's all about agreements. So often we assume, well, I think my boss wants me to work over the weekend, or I have to reply to emails within 10 minutes. And these assumptions can cause a lot of stress. So it's really important to get really clear on what the expectations are at work and what the agreements are. Being clear is kind. So asking for that feedback to say, is it okay if I reply to emails within 24 hours? Is that our company culture or policy? Because sometimes we're setting ourselves up with higher expectations than we really need. So, getting a sense of what are your limits, what are boundaries that feel good to you? And maybe some of them are already written into your job contract that you can't change the number of hours you work, but you can decide that I'm going to honor my boundary to shut down my computer at 5:30. Now, if you go back to your computer and you start sending emails, you've already broken your own boundary and you're starting to teach other people how to interact with you. Oh, well, she's going to answer email after 5:30, or she's going to be sending company memos over the weekend. So and then sometimes people get upset, like, oh my gosh, they were emailing me on the weekend. It's like, well, were you doing your end of the bargain with holding your own boundaries, right? So you have to live what you want to see. But it's important to consider what you can also protect, whether it's breaks, taking lunch, taking a walk outside. And, those things are in your control for the most part. And sometimes it's just also letting people know where the boundaries are. On Fridays from 2 to 3, I've blocked that as personal time, or, work time. And I'm gonna delete any incoming meetings for that requested time. So sometimes you have to also remind people of the boundaries that you've set that work for you. But it can be also trial and error to see what works best for you. Like, do you do your best work in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Are morning meetings more productive for you? Those are things that you can try out, again, creating hopefully the ideal situation for yourself.
I hear self-accountability all through that.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Oh my,
Sometimes we do those things to ourselves. It's like, wait a minute, I have to take responsibility here.
for sure. So how can someone identify if they need professional help for work life or work related stress or burnout?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think a couple of signs, a couple of things to look for. One is your day-to-day functioning changing, right? If you're noticing it's hard to get out of bed, maybe you're noticing that, your appetite has changed, your sleep patterns have changed. If your day-to-day, functioning has changed in some way, then that's a sign that maybe you could benefit from some support. Um, you also don't have to wait until you're in burnout and crisis and high anxiety and depression to seek out support. Everyone deserves to have a safe space to talk through issues. And again, as you process those thoughts and feelings, you're helping yourself integrate some of those thoughts and feelings into your body, into your nervous system, so that you don't have to carry it by yourself. So it's just a good practice to work with a coach, work with a therapist, right? Great sports players have coaches, soccer coaches, football coaches. We don't see them as weak. We're like, that's smart. They have experience. They can help you see things that you might not see. So if you're curious about it, I'd say go, find someone. And if you notice, your life is feeling like a little bit harder than it maybe you feel it should, then that's also just a great time to start looking for outside support.
Oh, I love that share. Thank you. Could you share with the listeners more information about your program and working with you?
Yeah, sure. So I work online with clients all over the US through coaching. I'm licensed in Maryland as a therapist. And I also run a career group. So if somebody's thinking about a career change and feeling like I'm stressed out, I don't know where to, start, or on the reflection piece, a lot of the work that I do with clients is helping just create space to reflect and ask yourself, what you want. And it's nice in a group setting. So you can check out my website. That's CaitlinMagidson.com. And you can follow me on Instagram, Catlin Magidson, or on LinkedIn. Happy to do a free consultation call with anyone who is looking for support. Happy to share resources or referrals. So yeah, you can find me in all those places.
Awesome. And I'm Michele Beatty, and you can find me on LinkedIn at Michele Beatty, and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook at Keep Your Stride. And I look forward to, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to you joining us for the next session of the Keep Your Stride series, which is It's All About You with Rhonda Baker. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thanks.